The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled the maker of Roundup can't be sued for failing to warn people that the popular weed killer could cause cancer. Today is Friday, the 26th day of June. This is Here First from Iowa Public Radio. I'm Sheila Brummer. The U.S. Supreme Court has sided with the makers of Roundup in a decision that says Bayer can't be sued for failing to warn people that the weed killer could cause cancer. The ruling comes after Congress and the Iowa legislature rejected legislation that would have limited lawsuits over pesticide-related illness. Aaron Lehman is president of the Iowa Farmers Union. He says the Supreme Court decision is a huge step backward for Iowa farmers.
Iowa farmers rely on safe and effective pesticides. The path to get to safe and effective herbicides is not to give blanket protections to pesticide manufacturers that have a clear link to cancer.
Iowa candidates for governor Zach Lane and Rob Sand also criticized the Supreme Court ruling. They both said they oppose shielding pesticide companies from cancer lawsuits. Bayer's CEO says the decision is good for American farmers. A boost for farm conservation. The Iowa chapter of the Land Improvement Contractors of America opened a new facility yesterday at its demonstration farm in Marshall County. IPR's Rachel Kramer reports.
Dave Llewellyn is a contractor and board member of the association.
If there's any kind of conservation practice or structure in Iowa, this is a place to see it at. We have everything.
He points out a chain of wetlands, terraces, and other structures designed to reduce erosion and nutrient pollution. Up on the hill is a new facility with classroom space. President Scott Boley says it will make it easier to educate the next generation of professionals.
There's always a need for conservation contractors, to help conserve the soil and the water.
He's hopeful the new space will also be used by state and federal agencies, lawmakers, and students interested in learning more about conservation. I'm Rachel Kramer, IPR News.
Organizations that work with disabled Iowans say they're concerned recent guidance from the U.S. Department of Justice could open the door for state lawmakers to make cuts to home and community-based services. The internal memo from the Office of Legal Counsel argues states do not need to provide these services to disabled people. This goes against long-standing interpretations of federal laws and Supreme Court decisions that these services are part of disabled Americans' civil rights. Angie Kendall is the CEO of Hand in Hand in Bettendorf, which works with disabled children and adults. She says there are many benefits to supporting this population in the community.
We work with individuals who are employed and active members of our workforce, which we desperately need in Iowa. We work with individuals who use their skills in unique and different ways.
According to state data, more than 26,000 Iowans are on Medicaid waivers that allow them to get home and community-based services for various disabilities. And LGBTQ foster children are losing a policy that requires foster parents to respect their sexual orientation and gender identity, regardless of religious beliefs. IPR's Megan McKinney reports.
Foster parents no longer have to affirm their foster children's LGBTQ identities if it conflicts with their religious beliefs under a new state law going into effect Wednesday. Max Mowitz leads One Iowa and says the law puts LGBTQ foster youth in a position to choose between identity and safety.
It seems like it is a way to further isolate children and young people that are already very, very isolated and already at a lot of risk and already don't get the support and resources they need as a result of this larger system.
Supporters of the law say it'll protect foster and adoptive parents' religious beliefs. The law also allows the caregivers to sue the state if they believe they've been denied a license because of their religious views on sexual orientation and gender identity. I'm Megan McKinney, IPR News.
Summer in the Midwest and Great Plains means berries ready for picking. There's a push to make the serviceberry more popular. What is the serviceberry? Find out more next. This month, a native berry is ready to pick throughout the Midwest and Great Plains. June berries, also called serviceberries, have a sweet, nutty flavor, but most people have never tried them. Harvest Public Media's Kate Grumke reports on a new push to get June berries onto plates.
Flourish Farm and Folk School sits on the bluffs of the Mississippi River outside of Alton, Illinois. Here, Crystal Moore Stevens and her family are growing something you won't find on most farms. A row of June berries.
When we first moved to this property, we invested in dozens and dozens and dozens of serviceberry trees. This is the first year that they're really putting on lots and lots of fruit.
Tonight, the Stevens are helping a friend in a pinch. Cindy Higgerson owns an artisanal jam company in St. Louis. She specializes in local, hard-to-find ingredients, including June berries. But this year, Higgerson's usual foraging spots didn't work out.
The storms just really knocked them all off the trees. When I went back, there were only a few, and there were like 1 million birds in the June berries.
So the Stevens family invited Higgerson out to the farm. Higgerson fills containers with the blueberry-sized maroon fruits and eats a few as she goes.
They taste like a combination of berries, I think, with the seeds in there, tasting sort of like almond. It almost gives it cherry, notes of cherry in there.
June berries or serviceberries are a native plant that grows throughout North America and goes by a lot of different names. They're adapted to the Midwest's extreme weather, and local wildlife love them. But the berries aren't just for the birds. People all over the region forage and eat them. And now there's a new push to get more onto farms. Bill Davison works on commercializing the serviceberry and similar crops at the Savannah Institute, a nonprofit that promotes sustainable agriculture.
It's a native shrub, it's highly nutritious, it tastes great, it can support regional food systems and diversified farming.
Davison says in Canada, there's a developed market for June berries. They're grown on large orchards and are even mechanically harvested. But the berries are rare on U.S. farms, and it can be hard for growers to make money with them. So most people are foraging the berries, even in cities like Chicago. Almost 3 miles of June berries line Chicago's Bloomingdale Trail, which attracts runners and cyclists. Bonnie Taz is a local nature educator and picks these berries.
Someone will stop and say, "Are you sure you can eat those?" And so it's a great moment, a teachable moment, as we say, to just say, yes, you can eat them. They're delicious.
To celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the trail, Taz wrote Berries for Bloomingdale, the serviceberry cookbook. It has more than 20 recipes from baked goods to savory dishes. Back in St. Louis, jam maker Cindy Higgerson is preparing to follow her own recipe. She washes the berries she picked at Flourish Farm, plus the few she was able to forage this year.
I'm going to do a little bit of jam math here.
She puts the berries in a pan, mashes them up, lets it simmer, then ladles it into 23 small jars. Finally, the lids of the jam jars begin to pop, meaning they're airtight and ready to sell. A few days later, Higgerson is putting them on her stand at St. Louis's popular Tower Grove Farmers Market. Before the market even starts, a shopper shows up for the Juneberry jam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Soon, a steady stream of curious customers are visiting the tent.
Gotta make a jam decision.
I have Juneberry jam this morning.
What is that? I've never even heard of a Juneberry.
Higgerson sells out in just 2 hours. She and other Juneberry fans hope even more people will get to taste this early summer delicacy soon. I'm Kate Grumke, Harvest Public Media.
Harvest Public Media is a collaboration of public media newsrooms in the Midwest and Great Plains, including IPR News, covering agriculture, food systems, and rural life. Thanks for listening. I'm Sheila Brummer. Have a wonderful weekend.